Peace out there in the ethos, on my peoples. It's the Real HD Show, and it comes courtesy of Soundtrack Your Brand. Soundtrack Your Brand and its contractual relationship with ASCAP and BMI allows us to play all songs in this vast catalog, all rights reserved. This broadcast does not deserve copyright strikes from social media platforms and algorithms because we have permissions. The Real HD is also brought to you by 17 USC 106 Fair Use. Videos used for educational purposes only. Like, share, subscribe, and let's get to it. There we go. Peace to everybody out there. It is the Real HD Show, and we're welcoming you to back again with another one for you and yours, so you could be prepared and not scared of what's popping in the rest of the 21st century, and especially the Power Refinement Day of December 5th. Peace, everybody. It's the Real HD Show, the higher discussion. And we come to you. It's another Monday Madness night, and it's a lot to hit. So much to hit that we're not even going to do all our segments tonight. But, as we hit, there's the link. You could jump on and say what you think if you so choose to drink. But we about to get deep enough to swimming. I got some family stuff I got to attend to. So what we're going to do is we're going to get right to these Power to the People news headlines. But let me tell the people what the Real HD Show is. It's the higher discussion. It's the best social awareness, knowledge of self show on the internet. Please tell somebody, like, share, subscribe. It's a whole vibe. Let them know you're watching the Real HD Show. And before we get to it, we always gotta, give thanks and praise to those who came before us, because we're standing on shoulders of giants who have paved the way, who have traversed this plain in the wilderness of North America for us, so that we could be here doing what we're doing right now. So I could be right here on social media with you doing what I do on the Real HD Show. So without further ado, one more thing. This is for all of you guys just jumping on for the first time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. The water's fine. Dip your toe in it. Put a foot in it. Put a leg in it. Put a hip in it. And then maybe you might be able to get to the headpiece and have it all bring you some peace on the Real HD Show. You know what I mean? Because we're the only show in these and any other airwaves that will give you this sort of conscious information with these sort of remarkable, interesting headlines. But what do? We heal it with Freedom Music. And we do our Freedom Music segment right before the main show. So 7:30 to 8 o'clock, we play empowerment music. We play music that, puts a battery in your back and motivates you to get out there and be better, be a better you. We play conscious music. We play music that's from the heart and the soul, that's meant to move the people in another direction. You know what I mean? And before we matriculate into the heart of the show, and this won't be a very long show because I'm going to get right to everything I got to do. We're going to play this right here. The Ancestors and Elders Blueprint. Because like I said, we are standing on the shoulders of folks who have come before us, who have laid the track work, laid the groundwork. And if we go back to what they are and what they consider enlightenment, we might find a path to our own peace and salvation. So I wanna play a clip for you, right? And it's of none other than the GOAT, Muhammad Ali. And he has something real interesting that he wants to bust down for y'all right here on the Real HD Show. Check it out.
Most of your poems, like the one you spoke a few moments ago, are funny. But you've written one about your own people, I think at the time of the Attica prison riot. It's a serious poem. You have certainly very serious moments, as you've shown us tonight. Could you, before we go, just say that poem for us?
Oh, this poem explains the Attica prison. You heard that over here when all the black prisoners were shot, and just before they held some white hostages, and they said they would cut the throats if they didn't get what they wanted. And the word was, well, if the throats are cut, then shoot and kill everybody. They found out during the autopsy that the throats were not cut. They just shot them for nothing. The trigger-happy policeman, and that Rockefeller gave word 10 minutes or so, if they don't give up, I think it's the way it went, open fire. And one black prisoner came out to speak to the warden, and he said, you have 10 minutes to surrender. What's your reply? Are we going to come in shooting? And the black prisoner came out, poetic poem. This didn't happen, but this is what I wrote. He said, better far from all I see, to die fighting to be free. What more fitting end could be? Better surely than in some bed where in broken health I'm led, lingering until I'm dead. Better than with prayers and pleas are in the clutch of some disease, wasting slowly by degrees. Better than of heart attack are some dose of drug I lack. Let me die by being black. Better far that I should go, standing here against the foe, is the sweeter death to know. Better than the bloody stain on some highway where I'm lame, torn by flying glass and pain. Better call in death to come than to die another dumb, muted victim in the slum. Better than of this prison rot, if there's any choice I've got, kill me here on the spot. Better far my fight to wage now while my blood boils with rage, lest it cool with ancient age. Better violent for us to die than to Uncle Tom and try, making peace just to live a lie. Better now that I say my sooth, I'm gonna die demanding truth while I'm still akin to youth. Better now than later on, now that fear of death is gone, never mind another dawn. They opened fire on them, but they died telling it like it was.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, man. So that was the ancestral moment on the Real HD Show. Muhammad Ali, the greatest. He was an elder for a very long time, and now he's an ancestor. And we always got to go back and review the jewels that the brothers and sisters who are our ancestors had left behind, because we got work to do. Power to the People News. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. Othal Wallace on trial for murdering, allegedly accused of murdering police officer Jason Raynor. Death row trial. That's the type of time they on with Othal Wallace. But there's more to meets the eye in this story. This is not just some trigger happy person from Florida who just happened to catch a cop and pop him, allegedly, right? There's a lot more that goes into what's going on. But let's catch you up. Let's catch you guys up on the actual trial itself and what's going on. Why is this brother on death row. Why is he being tried or charged with shooting a cop? So I'm going to my bookmarks and we're gonna pull up this article and we're gonna get busy. We're gonna read it. Because there's more than meets the eye of this story. And it has a lot to do with what's happening right now. It has a lot to do with what's going on right now in the Kanyes and the Kyries of the world. So Othal Wallace sits with his attorneys October 17th in a case management hearing before Judge Zambrano for the St. James Foxman Justice Center in Daytona, Florida Beach. Brother Wallace, accused of gunning down Daytona Beach police officer Jason Rayner. They say they're going to add a third lawyer to his team. So this has become a celebrity case of sorts. Wallace was indicted on a charge of first-degree murder of killing 26-year-old police officer Rayner. Okay, Jason Rayner, police officer out of Daytona Beach, Florida. And what's interesting about this is the defense that they're using for Othal Wallace is black men are brainwashed into believing the police will shoot them. That's the legal genius that his attorneys and now a third attorney add to the fray. These are the genius things that these defense attorneys have come up with to defend this brother right here, who's accused of shooting this cop and killing him. Now, did he do that or not do that? That remains to be seen. But I find it interesting that the defense claim was that black men are brainwashed into believing police will shoot them. So anybody within the sound of my voice, all the Facebook channels this is on, the YouTube channel, the Twitch TV channel, the Twitter channel, the Mobcrush, D-Live, Trovo Nation, anybody watching, let me know if that's brainwashing or straight reality. Because, you know, they run these reality shows on you, right? And they got you thinking the reality shows are reality and the truth is fiction. So is that an adequate defense for this brother right here, that black men are brainwashed to believe that police will shoot them? I'd like to know how many people out here right now, if you get into an altercation with a cop or a number of cops and you're a heavily melanated black man from an inner city, or any city for that matter in the United States, and you get into a tussle with them and they feel like they can't subdue you, what is the very next step? They're going to shoot you and put you down. If you disagree, put it in the chat. If you disagree, put it in a comment on the many, many places that we're blasting off to right now. That's what people believe is an adequate defense for Othal Wallace accused of killing a cop. Prosecutors are seeking a death penalty. He doesn't go on trial till April 3rd. I always find that interesting. What happened to a swift and speedy trial? Interesting. So state attorney Jason Lewis on Monday said prosecutors were ready for trial. Shoemaker and Probrisco from St. Augustine are representing Wallace. And I guess that's why they want to get a third party as a maybe consultant involved. They want another, the reason for the third attorney in the fray is because they want someone with death penalty case experience. and they're concerned about the over amount of coverage, media coverage of this trial, and that how that may influence the possible outcome for the defense attorneys instead of giving Mr. Wallace, Brother Wallace, a fair shake in a court of law. Here's another picture, though, that we need to consider in Othal Wallace's case. Othal marched with the NFAC in Louisville, Tulsa, and elsewhere. And he recently joined the Black Panther Party. So I find it really interesting that this brother who's on trial for killing a cop is down with the NFAC, Black Panther Party, and we know how government types historically deal with Black people that want to arm themselves both mentally and physically and want to spend time in militia groups. We know what the government got for them. They just gave Grandmaster Jay 7 years for pointing his weapon, just raising it into a shooting position. He didn't shoot anybody, but just raising it in a shooting position. They gave him that type of time. Now he's probably not going to do that type of time. And if he has some money behind him and he's properly lawyered up, he's probably going to do maybe half of that, if not a third. But the job is done because everybody noticed the NFAC, they're not fucking around coalition. But if they see their members go to jail, that's a deterrent. Nobody else will pick up arms. Nobody will organize on behalf of people anymore and it will make a third, if not most, of the members of the NFAC and the Black Panther Party want to not be as involved because they don't believe they will be protected and they're going to put their liberty at home. So we know where this is and we know what this is about. This is case study. Let's make an example of this cat. And justice doesn't really apply here because of his affiliations and what that influence might mean. Fair trial doesn't make a fair trial. Jurisprudence, due process, probably not applicable here. Oh, but the plot thickens. The plot thickens because Othal, this Brother Wallace, believes in Black Judaism. So here's a quote. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, he adds on Facebook, I am a child of the Most High. The phrase is commonly used by members of the Hebrew Israelites. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, Hebrew Israelites is a movement rooted in Black Judaism, a belief that the system birthed in the late 1800s by Black Christians from the Southern Pentecostal holiness movement. They claim to have received their revelation. America's recently emancipated slaves were God's chosen people, true Hebrews. According to the Black Hebrew doctrine, Kingdom of Israel was destroyed. The Israelites were scattered across the African continent and then selectively targeted by enemy African tribes who sold them into European slavery for bondage in the New World. So according to Brother Wallace, this is his faith. Who else do we see that recently, two people that recently claimed Hebrew as a faith, were very outspoken or pointed about a couple of things, and in the world, or at least the networked international confederations of business that have a lot of Scythian, Khazar, Ashkenazi influence within them, came out hard body against these people. Oh, I know this guy here. But we'll get to that article in a minute. Right, thinking about, we're talking about Brother Wallace, who's on death row for killing a cop. And if we know anything about American history, especially 20th century history, it's like, boy, white people like to frame you for something. If you involved in anything that has anything to do with some revolutionary militia or difference making group, conscious, organized revolutionary group, they will try to frame you and frame your efforts and make them seem like they are fleeting and not worth getting involved with. So once again, this brother Othar Wallace was in the NFAC and recently joined the Black Panther Party and marched with them in Louisville, Tulsa, and elsewhere. So he was showing much solidarity for them, and he happens to be a Hebrew Israelite by faith. So we know what the powers that be want to do with folks like that. The fix is in, but the fix don't have to be in, because we got power and refinement on our side. That's why we rocking tonight. We trying to get y'all that power. We can't give up the fight on these things. We got to fight for Brother Wallace. We got to fight for everything that he stands for and he believes in. It's his right as a citizen of this country to do that, and it's his right within his conscious vibration to choose his path to freedom, justice, and equality and equity for himself. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was interesting that a brother that was in the NFAC and Black Panther movement and was Israelite is getting that sort of a death row treatment. Because like I said before, I believe that this is a case study from the WEF and these world governments to stamp out these sorts of insurrections, if you will, and make a case study of these people so these things don't happen in this great reset that they're trying to pull off. And it's eerily similar to something going on with another cat right here. This one here. And Kanye's back. Yeah, Kanye back again, man. And Kanye's back again with his own set of madness. This time, this cat is praising Hitler. And he claims that Hitler loves everybody. Kanye's on his unapologetic tour because he went and hung out with Alex Jones and did an Alex Jones interview. So now he has two infamous interviews where he is just letting it all fly. He letting all the bones fall right out the mouth. So that's the Drink Champs interview and now the Alex Jones interview. So Hitler loves everybody. Kanye tweeted a swastika with the Star of David. So just for y'all know, man, there's nothing wrong with a swastika as a symbol by itself, because if you go way back to the antecedent of what a swastika is, it's actually a Eastern Kemetic symbol or Kush type of symbol. And it also means it has to do with chakra and energy flow, as above, so below. But of course, it was recently, in the turn of the recent centuries, as far as maybe even the 7th century, it was used by the Scythians. That was their symbol. And the ancient Scythians are the predecessors to the Khazars that Kanye talked about, right? The Magyars and the what is that? The Magyars and the Huns, okay? Caucasus Mountain people. And so there's nothing wrong with Kanye recognizing that symbol for its original origin. But of course, Kanye is not the smartest cookie in the box. So of course he comes off rough around the edges, unprepared, and with zero eloquence or oratorical skills so that he could be fully understood. So, and then of course, the media is having a field day with this, because protecting the Scythian group or the Khazarian group that has made a point of crying wolf whenever somebody challenges their ancestry or the efficacy of their ancestry. He fell right into their playbook again. So I'm not sure if this is a media blitz to kind of keep himself in the limelight, but you can't be this stupid because, once again, like I said in the last show when we talked about Kanye, we talked about he doesn't have the collective will of the people with him. Black people are very 50-50 on Kanye right now. And they know Kanye's not lying, but it's the way he's going about his business. Very shaky. So you need the will of the people. And then you need the will of the people to form corporation and merge business and create business off of the agreeableness of their will. So you need will and you need corporation and business. And he doesn't have any one of those. He's losing those things daily. And then once you have that, then you have to form an organized militia to protect the people and protect corporation. And Kanye did not make that move with organized militia either. And then after you have organized militia, then you have to find international partners that will support your stance and continue to do business with you if the favored powers that be decide not to do business with you anymore. Then you have different countries all over the world that you can go to and continue to do business outside of the first world countries. And Kanye continues to be this social or kind of cast himself in a way of a social pariah of sorts, right? Because he continues to do these things unprotected. He continues to do these things unguided, unprotected, and unfortified. And it's gonna hurt him in the long run. So we got some comments. We're gonna throw the comments so I see what's popping. Okay. We got some trolls. We like the trolls. Get up out of here. Block user. Get up out. So that's what's going on with that, man. And so we right back to it. We gonna do it like we supposed to. Power to the people news. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. So we see with brother Othal Wallace, right? Usually the name that you hear is not Othal, but you hear like Othello or something extent. I think Othello probably is the derivative of Othal, right? Othal sounds like a country bumpkin name somewhere out of Kentucky or Bama or some South Kakalaki, right? But anyhow, so the savage inequalities are out there, man. So if anybody's seen my show on ESG, environmental social governance, we know that Kanye, Kyrie, and brothers like Othal Wallace are social case studies for how they want to conduct this new environmental social governance policy that's being put down by the powers that be. WEF, check it out. Your brother ain't lying. It's right there in black and white. But there's social inequalities that exist. Because while they'll go crazy over the exploits of a Kyrie or a Kanye, right? They won't say anything about this. You don't hear anybody coming for Balenciaga that dumped Kanye. And this is what Balenciaga is choosing to do with their time. A BDSM teddy bear for children, for young children. As much as I would like to sometimes like to provoke a thought through my work, I never had an intention to do with that. Such an awful subject as a child abuse that I condemn, and that's coming from Dema Javisis. If I butchered that name, pardon me. But that's one of the people, that's one of the directors in charge of Balenciaga. Now, when Balenciaga got the dog whistle, they dropped Kanye like a bad habit. But what are they doing with their time? Is environmental social governance going to come after them for being teddy bears with BDSM gear on them? How horrible is that? And then every rules that they had this minor attracted persons professor, I believe it was out of a North Carolina university, that was trying to make the case for child pedophilia as a cultural lifestyle choice and not some sort of perversion. So that's where we're at with that. And I want to show you guys another one. So that's your savage inequality. So they'll put Kanye out the pasture, cancel dude, try to take him to the pasture and put two in his belly like old Yeller. But the same company that dumps him is doing their own set of foulness. So here's another angle of it. See, Balenciaga parent company. So now we're talking about the owners of Balenciaga, Gucci, and a lot of those posh European brands. Owns an auction site that sells mannequins with genitalia faces. Wow. So now we're talking about Balenciaga selling BDSM bears just in time for holidays and your baby girl near you. So what are you supposed to do? Who were the parents that paid? Who were the parents that gave permission to Balenciaga to have their child rocking this in an ad campaign? Who put that together? And then the parent company has an auction site that sells child sex mannequins with genitalia faces. You don't believe me? Give your good brother, family, a minute to pull it up. I will share my screen and I will show you exactly what we're talking about. Because we gotta be careful, man. Because they coming for the babies. If we ain't smart and we ain't vigilant, your babies will get corrupted by that too. So you gotta have conversations and cultural onsets in your house daily so that your babies don't get corrupted by stuff like this. Why? And what has this got to do with us as melanated folk in this country? We label crazy. We are label stupid. And we label stupid. And because we're labeled stupid, we don't make good decisions with our time and our energy. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you guys that mentions what Balenciaga is doing now. Remember, this is a savage inequality, okay? Why is it an inequality? Because they're not getting the same treatment that Kyrie Irving, Kanye, and old Fall Wallace got for being bombastic and outlashing with their opinions and their allegiances. But this sort of thing is okay. So I'm gonna share that right now so you guys can see it. And I hope you guys can see this because this is very important. This is what they got waiting for your child. This is what they got waiting for your children. And then the owner of the Balenciaga brand and other brands is married to what's homegirl name? From the vampire movies. And she just had a recent Netflix movie with Salma Hayek. There you go, Salma Hayek. So it says Balenciaga has been trending for over a week now. Stories just get creepier and creepier. CEO of the parent company, Kering, owns an auction website. That means this is high money they talking about, right? Where disturbing sex child mannequins are sold at an exorbitant price. Wow. And these are some of the examples right here. Little boy with a dick for a nose and a butthole for a mouth. Are we about to step into the Saturnalia season where they like to, go get funny style with the show? So here we go. Lada Valkova, stylist of Balenciaga, frequently posted images of child abuse and gore and is friends with alleged pedophile Gucha Rubinski. Here we go. Here we go. These are these vaunted brands: Vogue, Adidas, Chanel, Jean Paul Gaultier, Gucci. I mean, come on. It's all over the place. And then also there's an anecdote about somebody saying that the director, Dema, says he grew up on child pornography. So, minor attracted persons, man. And this thing pop for you right in time for the holidays or Saturnalia, right? Saturnalia is the holiday that celebrates Saturn when it was considered to be the sun. And they would sacrifice children to Moloch in turn for winter heat and winter favor so they wouldn't starve. And they believed that protected them way back in the day. And they carry that tradition to this day. It's called Christmas. So it's very, very interesting. So is this BDSM teddy bear going to be the latest thing in freaking FAO Schwartz, downtown Manhattan, going for $1,000 in your holiday season this year? That's how this is popping off. Talk to me, man. Leave it in the chat. Does Salma Hayek, that owns all of these fashion brands that have these frequencies to them, these minor attracted people all throughout them, are they messing with them like that? And do the savage inequalities exist? Is it right what they're doing to Kanye, even though he's outspoken and acting like he can't, button it up for a minute and put some strategy behind what he's doing? Or is he? Let's leave that up for debate. But obviously, they're not catching the same smoke as these Balenciaga dudes. Companies who are doing all of this sexual deviant stuff and calling it fashion and calling it somebody's piece of fashion. And then our folk want to run out to the stores and buy their life away, spend your rent money, spend your mortgage money, spend your family money on this type of stuff, when all you're doing is giving it away to pedophiles and sexual deviants that want to somehow make minor attracted people a thing, right? So I just want you to be aware of that, man. That's what's popping off right now, man. Othal, Kanye, Kyrie, Tiffany Cross, they can't speak their mind. Melanated people with sharp opinions that want to do what they want to do and live their life in a direct, progressive way can't do that, right? So speaking of another cat who is dealing with a white privilege and some savage inequality is at foot, is your man Fauci. So Fauci had to sit for a deposition in a 2-court trial, right? He was subpoenaed into court, and he had to sit before a 2-court trial for attorney generals because of his affiliation with social media outlets during the COVID-19 era and what they wanted and what he ordered them to do and what in turn YouTube, Facebook, and all those other outlets did. And he had to tell the truth. But what was with your man Fauci and how Fauci approached the whole piece, right? As that Fauci claimed to not know anything about it. He couldn't recall. So all of a sudden, the elder man, doctor, that was supposed to lead the nation, right, in the NIH, right? All of a sudden, when it was time to give testimony under oath, he doesn't know about the decisions that were made to censor media during the COVID-19 era. So groups and political groups in the Missouri and Mississippi area have taken Fauci and the NIH and those and CDC and those sorts to court for penalties that they received through media censorship and how it affected their business during the COVID-19 era. And this case was all about how big tech colluded with the government to censor speech during that era. And what's interesting about all of that is, NIH sent representatives over to Xi Jinping to find out how they were adjusting to their COVID lockdowns. And that was going, because remember, that stuff happened a little earlier than America employed their lockdowns. And a lot of the things that were done in the COVID lockdowns in China were employed and put together and put on the people right here in the United States. Right here in the United States. And they're still kind of going through it over there in China right now. And Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and other outlets were told directly by members of NIH, Homeland Security. I've shown you all the articles and I've showed you the receipts for all of this earlier. Go back and watch some of the previous episodes to get the gist of this stuff. This stuff is bordering on fascism. It really is. For control your freedom of speech. That's supposed to be one of the treasured, unalienable rights within the Constitution. And I'm not sure if they're using the Emergency Powers Act to override that, but that would not infect the Emergency Powers Act was used to assist in a medical emergency, not an emergency of the people in terms of how they were able to express themselves during that time period, because your freedom of speech was not at, your freedom of speech was not in peril in that particular situation. It was the medical problem as to why they had to declare a state of emergency, not from freedom of speech. Freedom of speech was just an additional layer of, the aftermath of what they were able to levy against people during the COVID-19 period. It's very anti-constitutional rights. And what's interesting is anti-laissez-faire. So laissez-faire basically is, government has to stay out of business and societal matters. That's supposed to be the will of the people. You can't influence that. But of course, if you're censoring social media during that particular time period, then of course you're going against the rules of laissez-faire. You're influencing business. Because if someone's business is like mine, which is to report to the people, then you're influencing that person's ability to make money and that person's ability to run their business that is dependent on freedom of speech. So Fauci had to go and give a deposition on that. And all of a sudden, he turned into Joe Biden, bumbling, stumbling, rumbling, dumbling all over the place like he had no clue. And as far as I know, nobody really took him seriously, and he wasn't ordered as to the efficacy of his statements. So I find that real interesting. And I just had to inform the people what's popping. What's popping. And speaking of sending representatives over to China to learn about their lockdown culture and policies as it was first being instituted, China fighting over COVID controls that erupt across China. So rare protests broke out across China over the weekend as groups vented their frustration over the zero COVID policy. You know, I don't know if you guys have read the news, but they were snatching people out of their homes, throwing them in containment boxes, and really putting these crazy restrictions on the entire country, the entire nation, over trying to get a control over COVID as they got ready to ramp up for the Olympics and things like that. The unrest came as infections surged, prompting more local COVID controls, while central government change earlier this month had raised hopes for gradual easing. It was not immediately clear whether the protests reached a meaningful scale in a country of 2 billion people or whether a wide demographic participated. So, you know, it was in Hunan, China, and now it's in Xinjiang, which is actually Chocolate City. They call that a black part of China. It's all black part of China. A lot of African people live there. A lot of brothers and sisters make their home in Xinjiang, China, which is called Chocolate City or Chocolate World or Chocolate Nation, whatever they call it now. And why is this important, man? Why does this matter to us? Why does this matter what China's protests are putting together? What in the world does this have to do with us? Well, I'll tell you what it has to do with us. Is because we put the world on notice on how to conduct a protest. We've done it from the, 50s, 60s, and the 70s. We've had we taught America how to civilly protest government or a redress. Everybody all over the world mimics how this is gonna, they mimic our style of protest. You can go to Ukraine, you will see them doing the same thing. And now you're going to China and you're seeing China protests in a very similar style. And why this is important for melanated people, especially those in America, is because China owns America. Asian countries literally are the debt holders of American commerce. And how the Asian protests go is going to be very key to understand how American protests are going to be handled moving forward. Why? Because if American protests interrupt commerce and business, well, that's a problem. Can't have that, right? So it's interesting, man. That's another thing in the pipe, and for us to consider, for us to put in our pipe and smoke it as we move forward. So we heard about the Balenciaga story, and now there's another, right, out of China, not out of China, out of Canada. And what does this retailer out of Canada want to do? Canadian retailer commercial celebrates hard beauty of assisted suicide. Pro-Made commercial comes just as Canada learns that 5% of veterans were offered made in lieu of treatment for PTSD. So in other words, PTSD wasn't working for the veterans in Canada. And they were offered a quiet, assisted suicide. And these are retailers now. So now you got retailers offering PTSD soldiers suicide, assisted suicide. Now, of course, they're going to soft soak it saying, okay, this is only soldiers that have unbearable conditions and they're mentally incapacitated and they can't take it anymore and they feel like pulling a plug anyway. So we're going to give them a hard beauty assisted suicide. But we know that, like I said, we're in a time period of case study. So we're the only country in the world that they just can't do these things to, because we have unalienable rights, because we live under a constitution. And of course, every other day they try to beat it. They try to wear us down on it. They try to take away liberties here, chip away at liberties there, until a lot of people just voluntarily consent to all of the madness, right? But you'll see places like here, in places like New Zealand, that don't have those in unalienably built into their citizenship. These are the things that retailers are able to do. A retailer now, ridiculous. That's like going down to your local smoke shop for a CBD, and in the back they offering PTSD patients an assisted suicide through overdosing on cannabis or some nonsense like that. Yo, we gotta fight these things. We gotta fight the permanence, the onset of these things, the permanence of these things, and the cultural growth and development of these things. Because if we don't, they're going to take a foothold and a permanence amongst us. And our people, just like with BBLs, are going to start thinking that these things are alternatives for living. And they're not. This is just profit. Now, what's not even being talked about in this article right here is how much this assisted suicide is going to cost, because I bet it's going to be an arm and a freaking leg. I bet you it's going to be an arm and a freaking leg. Bet you it's going to be an arm and a freaking leg. It's out of control, man. Speaking of places that are out of control and instituting acculturations that probably will be copied, if not mimicked, all over the world, New Zealand is doing something really, really interesting. They have a vaccination problem. And there's a family in New Zealand, some parents, and they refused a baby's life-saving heart surgery because they didn't want vaccinated blood to be given to their baby. Now, if you remember a show or two way back, maybe let's see, what is this, December, maybe late October, early November, somewhere in there, I showed you guys an article about how the Red Cross all of a sudden changed their mind, and they're taking vaccinated related blood as donations. And then back in that August, they weren't taking vaccinated blood as donations. But by that November, and because of whatever shortages or whatever sorts of limitations that they believe they had in their hospitals, they were taking in patients that were donating blood who were vaccinated. And of course, we know there's over 14 vaccination makers and manufacturers. So you don't know what blood, you don't know what condition that blood is in, you don't know where that blood came from, and you don't know the outcome it's going to have on the person that they're trying to give the blood to. Now, why would they want to do that? Why would they take infected blood with vaccinations in it? That's that population management, man. That's that WEF. New Zealand's health agency, and read the byline, is taking parents of a four-year-old month infant to court for refusing life-saving heart surgery if the blood is tainted by COVID vax is used, according to newspapers. Alarming and dangerous trend propelled by persistent misinformation about the shots and vaccines. Is it really misinformation if Pfizer came out with a 1900 adverse effect report on people dying and people having adverse effects like Bear's palsy and things like that because of the vaccination? and the infant fetal tissue is being put into vaccinations and affecting people adversely. There's 1900 AEs or adverse effects because of this. And now these parents were indicted and they may get locked up because they don't want their baby to receive vaccinated blood as a transfusion during a heart surgery. Wow. What happened to the parents' ability to be the stewards of their child's life? And if they don't want their child having unvaccinated blood, what's wrong with the parent being a customer of the medical procedure and making sure that their kid gets the best possible medical care? This is what's out there, people. We got to fight against this stuff. We got to speak out against it. We got to have the will of the people organized in this way. We have to have the will of the people transformed into corporation with a product. The corporation product will be protected by militia, and the militia be protected by international partnership. That's the way you get that done, man. If you can't get it done any other way, if you try to move in a different way to get those things done, you will not be successful. So our melanated folk, they got a little bit of money and a little bit of notoriety, but not power. Correct? Check. Y'all need to heed these things, man. Y'all really do. So we moving along, man, and we rolling. We rolling. So of course, on the same trend, talking about vaccinations, we got vaccination, right? There's a new article out. Not sure if you guys have seen it, but I'm gonna post it on here. And it talks about vaccine prompts HIV antibodies in 90% of people in an independent study. Experimental HIV vaccine led to antibodies against the virus in 35 out of 36 volunteers. But whether this offers protection against the infection is unclear. Now, why would you get HIV antibodies from a COVID-19 vaccine? I'm going to say that one more time. Why would you get HIV antibodies developed in people who took this from a COVID-19 vaccine? And everybody could give me that argument, but if you know anything about vaccine, read the book, Vaccines Are Dangerous. If you know anything about vaccines, is you have to put a little bit of the disease in the vaccine so that you could develop antibodies. So then what does one conclude with that? How do you conclude with that? What you can conclude is that HIV is in the vaccine. And if HIV is in the vaccine, well, that's gross negligence by the scientific community, the medical community, the pharmaceutical community, and the government and the FDA for approving all of this. So I just had to show the people this, man. Don't fall for it. There's maximum and a lot of ways out there. They're still trying to promote people getting these vaccines. Please, people, don't do it. It's a waste of time, and you're only setting the stage for medical harm for you and your family down the line. I told my people, y'all better not get none of that. I don't care who tells you to get it. A business or school or whatever you affiliated with, we could live a life without it. If you can't continue to go to school because of our home, or you don't need college, if that's the trade-off, you don't need it. But you see all of those mandates dropped once the federal government said that forcing people to get the mandates for these vaccines was unethical and unconstitutional. And then you saw all of that easing, just ease right up. You see everybody ease right up. And then, of course, it was good for business because now everybody could just come on out and participate in any rung of business in any industry without having to worry about supplying COVID vaccine cards. So just think about that, people. Think about that, my good people. Don't expose yourself or your peoples, your family to this stuff. This is love from me to y'all. Please protect yourselves and be vigilant that way. This population management stuff is a hard body, right, man? They're trying to get you a lot of ways. As a matter of fact, there's an aerosol spray that they're promoting with the vaccine in it. So there's a way that you can use an aerosol spray to, I think it's like a nasal mist or something like that, to, administer the COVID vaccine to yourself. It's ridiculous. It's almost like a asthma inhaler of sorts. And that's just crazy as a box of rocks right there, man. So just protect yourself. There's a lot of stuff out here, man. Read, watch the show, watch other shows that have a similar thread to them, because we're trying to make sure that you guys are fully informed so you can lead great lives and not have these things. So I got something I want to show y'all, and I think I want to end the show on this because we're kind of right up against it. But I thought it was really, really interesting because we're talking about medical stuff, right? And we're talking about efficacy, advancement of medicine, and efficacy of medicine, right? Whether medicine is effective and good for the culture of people, and whether the technology that is developing right now is responsible enough to help the people. But here's a piece of medical technology and scientific technology that I just want us to be aware is out there. So, if you've heard the show before, you saw Ariana Love, Dr. Ariana Love, and she talked about how within the Jabby Jab, there are proteins that react with hybrid metals and create some sort of live amoeba-like structure within the Jabby Jab. But now we have another scientific, interesting, I guess, breakthrough, if you will. And we have to decide if our voluntary consent in the sake of progress in technology and convenience of that matter is absolutely necessary. It's called the human sleeve. And I just want you to hear this quick clip about it, and then you can make up your mind as to whether or not you like where this is going and whether you like where we're going as a society because of this. Let's check this out. Real HD Show.
Sizes, ages, skin tones, hair texture, anything you like.
Can you explain that quickly one more time?
Yes. So here at Psychosect, we produce 100% organically made human sleeves. Here is an example of the two.
So a human sleeve is a body. It's an actual body. So let's see what else she has to say about this. Because there's another clip of not just her saying this, but some brothers and sisters were also introducing this human sleeve. And it's very interesting. And it reminds me of the movie Get Out, because they wanted to use Daniel Kaluuya. They wanted to use his body as a human sleeve for the consciousness of the grandfather in the movie. But now check this out.
So the whole point of this is to have your conscious mind but in a different physical body. Let's just say if your child gets hit by a car and dies, you'd be able to retrieve him back but in a different physical being.
Wow. You might as well get the cup, get the spoon, and start stirring the edge of it. Because if we not aware of this stuff, if we not acting on shit like this, if we not saying a hell to the motherfucking no about these goddamn things, they just gonna slip these bitches in, no problem. It's very interesting. Check it out. Now, what I'm gonna do, because thanks to Brother Mozzie, he hit me off with another video that I'm gonna put. I'm gonna hit my face. I'm gonna get my Facebook up, and we're gonna kind of go out. We're gonna go out with this one. All right. We're gonna go out with this particular vid, and this vid is gonna show you what's popping with these body sleeves. I'm gonna share my thing. I'm gonna share my screen. Thanks everybody for a great show today. Everybody like, share, subscribe, and we are going to, let me pause it, because I think this one has a much better tone and tenor to it, and it also shows you some brothers and sisters who are involved in this body sleeve technology, and it's a lot of foo-foo. It's a lot of nonsense, man. So we need to be aware of what's out here. And we consume this to death, man. We consume everything in this country, man. We like freaking, puppies, man. You put a piece of bread or a piece of, potato chip in our face and we'll consume it. And, there's no limit to what we'll do with that. But we need to be smart about what we're consuming, and we need to be educated about it. So I got this up, and I hope this is the correct one. So let me share it. Okay. Cool. So let me now get to this. Okay, cool. Yep. All right, good. So we're gonna go out with this one, man. This is the human sleeve, and then maybe we get Brother Mozzie on Wednesday, or maybe even next Monday, we could bang this out, and we can get a real perspective on what this is too, man. And we got a Terrence Howard joint coming up too, man. Terrence Howard is dropping jewels, and we need to express those things too. So right here, Real HD Show, the human sleeve. You tell us what you think. Real HD Show.
Thank you, guys.
It's real.
Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to Psychosec. Can I answer any questions? What is it all? Well, we're a company that produces 100% organic human sleeves. You're probably wondering what's a human sleeve. Well, if you gather around, I can let you know what we do here in full details. So here at Psychosec, we...
Okay, so you got to really peep the language, man, and the lingo. And I know I keep stopping it, and but I want to be clear about what we're doing, man. Instead of calling them clones, and instead of calling them other terms that may put people on notice to what these things are, you're calling them sleeves. Like your arm would go in a sleeve, right? Or you would put on the sleeve of a pair of pants until you zipped it up, buckled it up, and you rocking with it. So that's on crazy time, because if you listen and you let them trick you into believing what these things are, and not the regular words that you will call them, because you see them for what they are and not what they're not. They're trying to promote this as some sort of scientific breakthrough, like it's some new app that you could put on your phone and your ass gonna be all good after you experience it. Well, this is a whole different thing here. But let's check it out.
We've been able to achieve true immortality by taking your human consciousness, called a cortical stack. It's implanted in the base of your neck, and it collects and stores everything that makes you you. Every memory, every emotion, every sensation, everything you've ever experienced gets stored on this little device. You can see it here on this screen that's about to come up. You guys just follow me. All the information is stored on.
So that's the female version of the sleeve and the male version of the sleeve. And it's interesting. They made them white people. They made them Anglo-Saxon looking people. And why is that necessary? Because it's been shown that the Anglo-Saxon body type has a time clock on it. So even if you were trying to promote something for the good of everybody on the planet, why would you use an Anglo-Saxon specimen? Their DNA, their body type, their genetic makeup is not sustainable. It's not sustainable on the planet. Things that make you say, well, let's check out the rest.
This device and can be digitally transferred from one sleeve that you currently occupy into the sleeve of your choosing.
Sleeves are basically human bodies we grow in our labs. They're organically real. Bones, tissue, organs, everything. These are the best bodies you'll ever have. Period. Nothing can hurt these bodies, but they are human. So if something were to happen to them, you can always change them out for a new one. That's
Wow. Great replacement theory, anybody? Great replacement theory, any?
why it says immortality becomes non-existent.
Now, why would you want to be immortal? Who says that that has a value? And then all kinds of media, Star Wars to Transformers to any type of movie that you would like to encounter over the last 30 years have had some sort of element of immortality through science. And what group is busy promoting that? Interesting, man. Interesting stuff. So this has been a dope edition of the Real HD Show, a Monday Madness, if you will. And we introduced a lot of things, and we talked about a lot of things like share, subscribe. This is your brother, the Vic 7, and I'm gonna say peace and walk with power. Like, share, subscribe, timestamp. Give me some comments after the show on the things that you find vital, the things that you find pivotal, the things that you find super, super, super interesting, or super, super, super. Did you gain the awareness you needed to be better protected and move further as melanated people? Let us know. Get back with us, man. We're gonna have a Wednesday show. Is gonna be the big house breakdown, college football show. So everybody who's involved and likes that sort of thing, on my college football heads, y'all come on out. We talking about the college football playoff and all that type of stuff. Just a different type of energy for the Real HD Network. We're diversifying. We'll have Wild Out Wednesday back in a few. I just want to get this show, big house breakdown, off the ground, and that will be rocking on Wednesday. And next Monday, Sunday, Saturday, we will have all our great programming on the Real HD Network. So peace, walk with power, and love on each other. And I'm out. Real HD Show, the higher discussion. Discuss with me, man. Put it in the chat.